This week we're going to be looking at brackets, namely getting rid of brackets, which in maths we call expanding brackets. Now, you might have seen this before, which is absolutely fine. This week can be a little bit of a reminder, or you might not have seen this before, in which case make sure you take some lovely notes. This is a topic which is on every GCSE paper in the world ever. It's such a fundamental algebra skill. You'll do it so many times before your GCSE that it will become kind of second nature to you. But let's take some really, really nice notes today so that you can look at them during the coming years. So by brackets, we're going to start by looking at expanding what we call single brackets. Something which looks like this. So 5 brackets 2x plus 3. Something which looks like that. And our job is to get rid of the brackets. That's possibly even worth writing down. So expanding means get rid of. So we need to get rid of the brackets. Okay? Now, the motto that we're going to be using today, and the motto that actually we'll be using during the next video too, I'm going to write in pink over here. We're going to draw lines and multiply. That's our motto, draw lines and multiply. If you do that every time, you'll get the right answer every time. So let me show you what I mean by that. So we always draw lines from the thing which is outside the bracket. So I'm going to draw a line from the 5 to the 2x. Our first job then is to do 5 times 2x. Well, I would do 5 times 2 first, which gives me 10. And then I've got the x. Because the 5 hasn't got any x's, I'm okay to just write an x here. We'll look in a minute at what happens if you've got an x with the thing outside the bracket as well. I'm using x. Actually, I could be using any letter. So I'll try and change it up a bit and use some different letters. It is normally an x, but we could be using any letter. So I've done 5 times 2x. Right, now I've got a plus, so I put a plus here. And then I need to do 5 times 3, which is 15. And that's my answer. I can't do any more tidying. I've got a 10x and I've got a 15. I can't put them together at all because this thing's an x thing and this thing isn't an x thing. So I can't put them together. If you've got 10 cats and 15 dogs, well, you've got 10 cats and 15 dogs. You haven't got 25 cogs or anything like that. Okay, so they need to be kept separate. So that's the end. Let's do another one. Let's do 7 and then 4. I'm going to use a y minus 3. So, draw lines and multiply. That's the only thing that we've got to do. So, draw from the outside. So, 7 times 4y. Well, the outside one doesn't have a letter, so I can just worry about doing 7 times 4, which is 28. And then I've got a y that I need to put here. Now we look and I've got a minus in my bracket this time. So I'm going to put a minus here. And then I need to do 7 times 3. 7 times 3 is 21. And that's it. That's my answer. Okay? We'll do one more of those and then I'll make it a bit trickier. So let's have a look at 10 brackets 2x squared plus 7x. So that looks much nastier, but we'll draw lines and multiply and you'll see that it's not bad at all. So I'm going to draw a line from the 10 to the first thing in the bracket, which is a 2x squared. So what's that going to give me? Well, the outside thing hasn't got any letters, so I don't need to worry about the letters. I'm going to do 10 times 2, which is 20, and then I'm just going to put the x squared here. If the outside thing doesn't have any letters, you don't need to worry about it. Whatever the inside thing's got, you can just stick it on like that. And now look, I've got a plus. And then I need to do 10 times 7x. Well, the outside thing doesn't have a letter, so I'm going to do 10 times 7, which is 70. And then I need to put the letter on the end like that. So there's that's all we need to do, okay? If the outside thing is just a number, okay? So that's going to be the first part of the worksheet. Sometimes, though, the outside thing does have a letter. But let's have a look. Our method, our draw lines and multiply, is still going to work. But let's have a look at what that would look like. So let's say we've got 6x, and then we've got 2x plus 5. Right, draw lines and multiply. Let's draw our line, and then we'll work out what we need to do. So I need to do 6x times 2x. Well, we're going to split it. Let's do the numbers first, and then we'll worry about the letters. So, 6x times 2x, I'm going to do 6 times 2, which is 12. And then I need to think, well, I'm doing x times x. So I could write x times x here, but remember in maths, if you times something by itself, we put squared. So an x times an x gives me an x squared. Okay? And now I've got a plus, so I'm going to put a plus here. And then I do 6x times 5. Well, this time it's the thing in the bracket that doesn't have a letter. So I'm going to do 6 times 5, which is 30. And then I've only got one x to worry about. So I'm just going to put the x here. That's another way of thinking about it. You've got 1x here and you times it by 1x here. So I've got an x and I've put a little 2 because there was 1 here and 1 here. So I had 2 of them. And here I did a 6x times 5 and there's only 1x. So I just put an x. So that's what we call expanding single brackets. Let's have a look at another example with this letter outside. So let's say I've got 8y and then I've got 4 minus 3y. So let's have a look. If you draw lines and multiply, you won't go wrong. So 8y times 4. Well, let's deal with the number first. 8 times 4 gives me 32. And now look, how many y's have I got? Well, there's 1 here and there isn't anything here. So I've just got 1 y. So I'm just going to put a y there. And then I've got a minus. And then I've got to do the 8y times the 3y. Well, if I do 8 times 3 first, that gives me 24. And then I've got to do a y times a y. So I've got 2 y's being multiplied together, so I've got a y squared. Okay? So that's the end of the little bit of waffle about worksheet 1. So I'd like you now to have a go at worksheet 1 and see what you make of it. And then the next video this week is going to be for expanding double brackets, and our motto of draw lines and multiply is still going to work. Okay? So that's the end of video 1. So I'd like you to have a go at worksheet 1. Remember, you're drawing lines and you're always, always, always multiplying. Okay? So thanks for listening. Have a go at worksheet 1, and then at some point this week, also have a look at video 2.